individual performance. Welcome, and thank you for coming to Big Arts Museum. Originally built in 1862, it was Foundation for Women. Originally built in 1862. Phoebe Ann Moses. Does anyone know who she is? Anyone? No? Alrighty then. Mrs. Moses, or better known as Annie Oakley, helped lay the foundation for women's equality in the late 1800s, known for her quick wit and her spot-on sharpshooting skills. Annie Oakley was an incredible marksman, sharpshooter, legend, and tomboy that performed for many years on Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. She was a moving leader of the 1890s because she wasn't afraid of being part of sharpshooting, which had previously been a man's sport. She helped many women become independent and helped many women join the Spanish-American War. Hello everybody. This is where I was born here, Patterson Township, Ohio on August 13th, 1860. My mother Susan and my father Jacob were very poor, and my father passed away when I was just 6 years old, leaving my mother with my 8 siblings, 7 sisters, and a brother named John. I didn't particularly care for the late 1800 Victoria era attire. I didn't care for the idea of being stuffed into an oversized dress and constricted tighter than a rattlesnake by their glorified corsets. The very thought of it consumed me with disgust. While my brother John, on the other hand, we were 2 peas in a pod, playing outside in the long summer days, rather than staying cooped up in the house all day, he always understood, even in the hardest of times. My childhood was wonderful until my father passed. My mother did her best to raise us, but 8 kids took its toll. She gave 2 of my siblings and I to the local poor farm. Samuel and Nancy Ennington, or as I call them, the wolves, owned that dreadful farm. They promised me schooling, money, and protection, but they would punish me if I studied, overwhelm me with work, and wouldn't let me leave. During my 2-year stay, I felt as though I was a prisoner. I was beat, starved, frozen, and sexually abused. By 1872, I had had enough, and I ran to my mother's friends, G. Anthony and Charles Leopold Katzenberger, where they treated me very kindly. They offered me money if I stitched their clothes and helped with their infirmary there. By 1875, I had saved up enough to return to my mother's, and I had proposed a deal. The Katzenbergers would... I had hung bringing small game, and in return, the Katzenbergers would... allow my mother, my siblings, and I to reside in our home by paying the rent. The Katzenbergers accepted my offer, and little by little, I began to chip away at the $200 home. During the late 1800s, women weren't typically known for paying off their own home, but I was determined. I believe that independence is important, for without it, women would be expected to sit in their house cooking and cleaning all day while their husband went to work and bring on all the income. On Thanksgiving Day, my life was about to change. Katzenbergers told me about a sharpshooting competition in Greenville, Ohio. My opponent would be 30-year-old Irishman Frank Butler, and he challenged, also known as the champion marksman. He foolishly placed a bet that anyone that could outshoot him in a sharpshooting competition would win the grand prize of $100. I accepted his challenge, and upon arrival, Mr. Butler took one look at me and threw his head back and laughed uncontrollably, for how dare a 15-year-old girl challenge the champion marksman to shootout? Little did he know, I was about to put him to shame and prove that any woman can outshoot any man. After enduring 25 rounds, Mr. Butler finally missed. I gave him a devilish grin and made him regret every foul-mouthed comment he had ever made towards women, not being able to handle a man's work. With that, I pointed, aimed, and bang! Shot the target point blank. Well, I thought Mr. Frank Butler was about to lose his launch, for it was his first defeat, and by a 15-year-old girl. But true to his word, he ordered me with $100. Later, he said, I almost dropped dead when I saw a little slim girl in a short dress step out to the marketplace. Frank and I quickly fell in love and got married, and we got rid of the competition. After word broke out about my wedding, I began to break through more of the stereotypical role of being a woman, and it shocked many with what I was able to accomplish. A year later, Frank and his shooting pal, John Graham, were performing in an act they called America's Own Rifle and Champion All-Around Shots. And Graham fell ill. When Frank turned to a partner, of course, he chose myself. Butler and I quickly became the new Butler and Graham, and everybody loved our performances. I covered the performance aspects of our act, while he covered the business and partner aspects of our act. Buffalo Bill Cody saw one of our entertaining acts in 1883 and asked me to join Buffalo Bill Cody's Wild West show, and I didn't hesitate to accept. I was known as the first woman superstar. Many were starting to look up to me, not just as a sharpshooter, but as a woman as well. I stood by my independence theory and encouraged many other women to follow my way of life, for I felt they would truly never know happiness or be able to pursue their dreams like I did. A woman who understands guns can protect herself in a time of danger. When I was young, I felt that the only weapon that women had was their tongue. This greatly impacted and handicapped women when in a time of danger. And this is when I realized I could fix that. I could teach women how to use a revolver. Later, I found that women weren't stepping up to shooting because they were afraid that they'd be teased for shooting themselves in the foot or having bad aim. Aiming to steer women to become independent, I helped and encouraged many women to join the military. I gave shooting lessons, tips, and guns, and I educated over 15,000 women during the course of my life on how to properly defend themselves and their country. In 1901, when President McKinley sent me a letter asking me to join the Spanish-American War if the war would break out with Spain, I eagerly replied, I offer the services of 50 lady American sharpshooters who will provide their own arms and ammunition to the government should war break out with Spain. He declined my offer, and not long after a second request sent to me by President Woodrow Wilson, when the United States broke into war with the Central Powers. I gave him the same response, and again my offer was declined. I was aggravated and hurt to see how negatively the U.S. felt towards women, and seeing this, I knew change was needed. With a heavy heart, I decided to push harder. Instead, I would offer to train marksmanship, not only to the women, but to the troops as well. Being that I'm a lady with much more knowledge in the field of firearms than they were in shock and in awe of my achievements. The more people started seeing my capability, the more widely known I became. I traveled across the country for the National War Council and Young Men's Christian Association, now known as the YMCA, and War Camp Community Service. Consistently, I stopped at training camps and gave informational shooting demonstrations. They called me the best woman sharpshooter. They called me Hope, and they called me the most famous woman in history. Today, women can compete and shoot in sports without being questioned, stand up for their beliefs and what they love, and easily use self-defense against others on the street, if needed. Aim for a high mark and you will hit it. No, not the first time, nor the second, maybe not the third. But keep on aiming and keep on shooting. for only practice will make you perfect.